Hey folks, we are going to continue our work with the interior artwork for the supplement Spelljammer Combat and Exploration that we've been designing here for the past year. Give me a second here to check my signal and then we will get started. So hold on real quick here. Checking signal, check. Signal, check. Sounds good. Okay, cool. Copy. All right, cool. Let's do our intro spiel and then we'll get to work. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements that I publish online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. There is a slew of links in the description down below to other work that we've already produced in the past. You're welcome to click through and check that stuff out. There's probably about 150 illustrations among the lot of them, along with being able to read most of the work cover to cover to get a good feel for the kind of work that I produce. If you're an art enthusiast, you like showing up because seeing what I'm drawing. There's probably about 150 illustrations there for you to check out. If you are a D&D enthusiast, if you find any of the rules, mechanics that we're developing to be cool for your game, either case, consider making a purchase to support the stream. Otherwise, we post on Twitter every time that we go live, like we have just now done on Twitter at Phil Kearney. You can always find out what I got going on there and then. And hold on here real quick. Cool. And pop. That's done. We would create role-playing game supplements here. So what we're doing is we design the book. We do development like we see yesterday on our lunchtime stream with the Martial Power System. We then send it off to an editor, and when it comes back, we drop it into page layouts like you've seen us doing here by putting all this text where it belongs to lay out. And then once these are done, as you've seen, we take a PDF and we drop it into Photoshop. And we create the we create the artwork separately from the page of art. The page of text gets dropped in, then we create the artwork for the spot art that goes on the page like this. We then pick it up and pull it into Photoshop, back into the Word document, and then we move on to the next piece. So right now, this is the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we've been creating to help flesh out the combat and mechanics and other fiddly subsystems that you need to make space and infinite reach to work inside of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Spelljammer's Adventures in Space. So once this goes live, it will also be on the DMsGuild, and you'll be able to look through all the content, but all the creature tokens, ship tokens, creature tokens, maps that we've been producing for the past 8 months. Those will all be in a zip file that you can have along with the mechanics of this, so you can learn how to use the thing in the book, and then we provide you with all the tools to make it work as well. So we're going to continue our effort today. I had some trickiness along the lines of making this background thing work. I was having a problem with transparency here, and we have we resolved that. So I was just having a problem with transparency issues in the image box here that we were building, but now that we have it fleshed out properly, we should be able to sally forth like we expected. The mechanics are still working. The buttons were a little different because they updated Word recently, but it's still fully functioning document. So this is where we're at. We've got about 108 pages here that we'll be building illustrations for, maybe about 50 illustrations, I'm thinking. So we finished this one yesterday, and so we're going to stitch this guy shut, like meow. We sketched out this before I took on vacation last week, so I'm pretty happy with how that's sitting for now, but it's obviously just a rough sketch, so I'll have to get back to that. And then we have this that we built yesterday as well, which so far I'm pretty happy with. Today we are going to now build out. Let's go with TXT here and then lock it. So these are amplified spells that we're working on. You spend an extra 1 or 2 spell slots depending on what scale you want to work in. 5-foot scale is as normal, what you would expect a lightning bolt to do. For instance, at the 50-foot scale, you've got distance 10 times as long. At the 500-foot scale, you've got 100 times as the scale that you would have at the 5-foot scale. But that way you can be affecting the... here, I'll show you. So if this is a 50-foot square, right, a Star Moth ship occupies a 200-foot space, 4x4 square at the 50-foot scale. But this little Arrow fighter ship, it is only 15 feet. So you can fit 1, 2, 3 of them. You can technically fit up to 9 of them inside of this 50-foot square. So this is the kind of size that it has. And in this instance, we're looking at the area of effects on a spell. If I were to cast Entanglement onto this ship, it wouldn't appear outside of the area of the ship because this is the only area of space that has a surface on which you could cast Entanglement. So even if at the 500-foot scale you'd be able to affect a 2,000-foot area, because the Star Moth only occupies a 200-foot scale, you could technically only have to use a 1 spell upcast to get it to the 50-foot scale. So it would be a 200-foot area, which this occupies. And then a fighter craft that were to enter its space here would be affected by that Entanglement spell at the 50-foot scale. But at the 500-foot scale, this ship isn't even 500 feet in size, so it's not going to be able to accommodate a 2,000-foot area for the Entanglement spell. The Entanglement spell has to be anchored on something. And if there's nothing for the Entanglement to grow out of, then it can't take effect. So all this space beyond the bubble of the Star Moth is beyond the scale, is beyond the reach of the spell. So once this little fighter craft enters the area of the Star Moth affected by the Entanglement spell, it can become entangled in the spell effect that's anchored onto the ship. So that's the idea that goes on behind that, but that's the difference in scale that we're working at here. So we are going to clip that down, and then got that there, here. All right, so those are different scales. Since we're working, and there's a bunch of caveats and considerations to make when you're dealing with spells upcast to the 50 or 500-foot scale. And this system treats the ship that the characters are on as though that ship is the pilot. So when you're looking at things that can affect the self or affect a creature or affect a number of hit points, that's affecting the ship. So, and then residual effects that can't directly affect the ship, like the ship doesn't have any actions. So if you hit the ship with a slow spell, you can't slow. You can reduce the amount of movement, like the number of squares that the ship can move, because that's the ship's speed. But the ship doesn't have any actions or bonus actions, so you can't apply the slow spell effect of action economy to the ship, but you would affect the pilot. So there's little interactions like that are a bunch of like exceptions to the rules, which is what 5th edition thrives on. But it was a lot of effort to establish these rules and to make them consistent with each other, so that there is a logical, magical physics at work here, and then to see how they apply to all the spells, and then to actually do spell casting, playtesting, to see how this stuff works. Not all of these spells were used in that playtesting, but a large enough array of them had been used that we started to establish some baseline mechanics of how stuff works in general that we could then apply to all the spells. So we're using, we used a majority of the spell descriptions that we have going on here, spells after spells after spells, and these will all be in the book, and once this publishes, they'll be in the preview on the DMsGuild for you to look at. So, pardon me, eye stuff. I need to set a timer. $20 minutes on the block. So we'll be looking at each sample page here, or sample page. We'll be looking at each page here. There's no room on this page really for art, because once we take our borders into effect, like here and here, you can see how little of that space is actually left. So this is actually a really good place for us to have some eye rest, to not oversaturate the work with filler art. So this is a place for the eye to breathe as as we continue to produce more content. This also has a very small pocket here that we'll leave open for the eye to rest. But here is a significant chunk. Here is a significant chunk. Here is a significant chunk, and here's a chunk too. But this page is also similarly occupied with text, so we can't realistically put any kind of image of detail or quality in here. And if you want to see the conversation that we had about the bottom rail, about the navigation bar that we're going to be building down here, and see some of my older works, you can click on the links down below and check out yesterday's stream to see how we were looking at placing those things. But we did establish some basic background here. There's a very, very faint blueness to the upper corner here, purpley. It is a very, very basic purpley indigo-ish look here, as you can see. 235, 255 is the maximum, but this is 235, so there's just a little bit of English spun into this white background. So there's a smidge of purpley here, and there's a smidge of silveriness down, or gold down here, and then it just strips out to be nearly white in the middle here. So I'm thinking, I don't see color myself, I'm completely colorblind. So you can learn more about monochromatism down in the description down below, but my gut is telling me that the amount of warmth that this adds to the piece is sufficient to create that texture, just that little bit of color information that isn't intrusive. It doesn't get in the way of reading the text at all. It doesn't draw attention to itself, but it takes the edge off of being just raw white. So any of you guys that see color out there, if you would be able to do me the favor of letting me know if you think this, just as a page, I mean, I know I don't have my navigation rail at the bottom, but just the jive of this, the coloration we got going on with the air bubble, the corner text, the corners of the page, the line art, the bubbles of the numbers and stuff, that all looks good. My gut tells me I'm on the right path, that I'm doing well, but I literally have no color. So I have to sometimes ask for external input just to make sure that something weird isn't happening. So anyone that might be seeing this, if there's anything odd or off-putting about the color palette that I've chosen so far, please do let me know. I can very easily change the colors in the background if it's necessary, but again, my gut's telling me that we're looking good. I just want to make sure. I just want to check. I just need to check my gut. So literally anyone that shows up in the stream today, if you have any input about these background colors for the page in general, it is going to be greatly appreciated. Any kind of feedback you might have. So having gotten all that spiel out of the way, we're making spells. So these spots that we have open in the document, we have 1 here, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 spots left open, and then we have the descriptor stuff here at the beginning. Ship-to-ship combat here, and ship-to-ship combat here. Those are the sketches. So we're going to continue with sketching, but I literally have no idea yet which of these spells we're going to put in this little corner over here. So let's fix our palette here and here. We're just doing black and white sketches right now, just to see what feels good to fill that space. And so we're trying to figure out which spells we want to use. So let's get that out of the way. Let's see, what spell do we like? There's Fairy Fire is kind of a cool idea. The ship is within the area of effect. The current pilot must succeed a saving throw, or the ship and all aboard are affected by this spell. 1 slot, the range increases to 600 feet. 2 slots, the range increases to 6,000 feet. See how it has this language here that the ship and that it's the current pilot that's making the saving throw, because during the round of combat you can change who the pilot is, and you may want to do that. It gives you more movement. Whoever takes over as being a pilot has the opportunity to use their own actions to make attacks, so you can make a lot of attacks with your ship, but it all ends up being the same action economy coming out of your characters. They're just sharing the ship role of the pilot. But if whoever's the last and currently the pilot of the ship is the one that has to make saving throws for stuff. So like if you have a rogue, like let's say you have a rogue and a paladin that are working in tandem together to pilot a fighter ship. The paladin can be using attacks and action economy to approach, make attacks with a better attack bonus, smite damage with spell slots, and can tank the hell out of stuff because paladins are pretty tough. But then if the rogue is piloting, they have cunning action they can use for action economy. You can't necessarily use sneak attack because that's sneak attack doesn't scale. You don't know where the weak spot on the ship is. Although we could definitely design a subclass for a rogue pilot to create the opportunity to use sneak attack damage in the ship. But that currently doesn't exist. So, but you have all the expertise, the unnerving skill, the uncanny dodge, evasion, and then the cunning action themselves. There's a lot of class features that a rogue has that really works well as a pilot. So but if it's the rogue or it's the paladin that's piloting the ship right now, and this fairy fire hits the ship, and the current pilot must succeed the saving throw, it's whomever was the last person to actually be piloting the vessel, taking actions with the pilot role, that is going to be the pilot. So you're keeping an eye on who's actually piloting right now is the person that's going to be affected by spells. They're going to be making the saving throw, and they're the ones that are going to actually be affected. Like color spray, all creatures within the area of effect without full cover must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be blinded. In addition, the pilot of any ship caught in the area of effect must make the saving throw as well, even if they have full cover, because the pilot is seeing through the eyes of the ship. They can get affected. I could probably actually clean up that language to anything that's focusing. No, because arcane cannons, for instance, don't give you eyes in the ship, but the orrery and the helm do. So we probably need to clean up that language a little bit. But color spray is pretty interesting as a spell, but we are already going to use color spray in this example here. We'll have a color spray, a rainbow blast here hitting this Shrike ship. So we don't need to worry about color spray. We already actually have that covered. Let's see. There's message, which doesn't have a lot of visual interest. Ensnaring strike is interesting. No, honestly, I think Fairy Fire is the way to go. Let's take a quick look. Hey, if we have the opportunity here, hit like, subscribe, and the bell icon to keep track of what we got going on. Your support is really, really appreciated. We're trying to build the channel to at least 1,000 subscribers, if not 100,000. But it's one guy at a time, right? So if you love the work that we're doing here, thanks for your support. Let's see, we're going to go to D&D Beyond. And let's go to Fairy Fire. Each object in a 20-foot cube within the range of the outline in blue, green, or violet, your choice. Any creature in the area when the spell is cast is outlined in light if it fails a dex save for the duration. Objects and affected creatures shed dim light in a 10-foot radius. An attack roll against an affected creature or object has advantage if the attacker can see it and the affected creature or object can't benefit from being... Oh, and the object can't benefit from being invisible. Okay, that all jives. So it's green, blue, or purple lighting. So I think Fairy Fire is the place we want to be. Now it's just a matter of, so we'd have this space here is where we're going to put it. Our resolution, our screen resolution here, the image resolution is 300 pixels per dot, 300 dpi. So that's 1 pixel. We're going to typically probably work here in 3 pixels as hard lines, 2 as interior form space, and then 1 pixel for detail work, like we do in the Eberron cartography work that we do on Mondays and Thursday nights. You can check out the Crystals of Mabar development stream for the cartography that we've been doing to see that kind of language being used in a more methodic, logistical manner for actually building out maps. But for now, we're working on Fairy Fire on a ship. So what do we want? What kind of ship do we want to target, huh? What kind of ships do we want to use? It's vessel tokens. So here's all the tokens we made for ships. These are 50-foot squares. So we got the Bombard. We got the Damselfly. Flying Ship. Hammerhead. Lamprey. Living Ship. Nautiloid. These are just tokens that we built for this, right? So we're trying to decide which ship is gonna look cool. Squid. You can see that there's a lot more weapons on these ships than what's listed in the in Spelljammer's Adventure in Space. That's because of the way that squadrons work. Squadrons scale by the number of squares that a ship occupies in a 500-foot space. And then this one occupies a 4 squares inside of a 500-foot space. This is a 250-foot space here. So if you had one here and then like another here, another here, another here, you could theoretically have 4 of these ships occupying those spaces. And then you still have, like we could have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You could theoretically have a 5th ship here. So we could actually fit in tight formation up to 5 star moths into one 500-foot space, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5 would be 200 squares worth of ship in a 500-foot space. So we would need to have a number of weapons here to represent each 1, 2, 3, 4 squares that is occupied. So I need 4 siege weapons and 4 mounted weapons for the 200-foot space this fits in. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4 siege weapons, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4 mounted weapons. Every ship that we've created follows that pattern. Turtle ship 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 1, 2 squares here, 1, 2 weapons here, 1, 2 squares here, 1, 2 mounted weapons here. That way, when you fill the space like a 7 by 7 worth of ship, it'd be 7d, say 76 or 7d8 damage that the ship would do per attack as a squadron. So we walk through those mechanics back, like I want to say like around episode 92, I think we talked about in that more detail. I could be wrong there. I'll have to check it out more. Here's the Tyrant ship. We need to work on that Tyrant a little bit. I think we need to redo that one. And then the Wasp. And we used the Wasp in the last illustration, so I don't want to use the Wasp again. Kind of like the idea. And the Damselfly looks a lot like the Wasp, so I don't want to use that same one again. Yeah, maybe we'll just go with like a traditional space galleon here. That's cheap and easy, right? That's what we're into. want that eraser so we can get rid of the lines. And we can. This project would have honestly intimidated me about 6, 7, even 4 years ago. This would have been a really I mean, let's be serious. I've talked about it before. This is a large project, 108 pages. It's an intimidating document, and it is taking a ridiculous amount of time to complete it. But I don't think I would have had the ability to do this even a few years ago. So I think my overall level of skill has improved quite a bit, just in general, during this project. I'm actually really proud of that. Here, get that there. And we can just do a radiance. And this is literally how Fairy Fire works. So we'll just do the rough outline like that. We'll need to have like space in the background here that'll bleed out as we move away from the borders of the piece. And then we can have a little flitter. Nah, you know what? I don't think we need a flitter ship in there. I think just the Fairy Fire itself. I think honestly, that's probably going to do the job. Cheeky enough as it is, it's. I mean, yeah. Once we drop space in on the background on this thing, that should be, good enough. Like I don't need to overcomplicate these pieces. They're pretty straightforward, and I also don't need to oversize them either. It's just a quick, easy sketch. Fits inside the space. That's probably good enough. So we're gonna leave that one be. Fairy Fire. There you go. Next. Text. So we have what is up with this highlight? That is so weird that it does that. It's nice to be able to see it now, though. I need to figure out what's up with that. Like, why is that highlighting like that? I'm actually pretty freaking concerned. I don't have any of that on this page. This is fine. Is there any weirdness happening on this page? No weirdness here. How about here? Any weirdness on this page? Nothing here. How about here? Any weirdness on this page? No weirdness here. Any weirdness here? I think we already established there's no weirdness here. No weirdness here. Weirdness here. What is up with that? There's an extra. Let's go take a look at our document here. Let's do this. Let's go to design, page color. Let's just do something outlandish like that. See, yeah, what is up with all these little? See, these little nibs should be highlighted because those are going to be hyperlink nubs. Like we're gonna, yeah, all these little things are going to end up being hyperlinked to the different section that they're relevant in, but that's fine. We just did that and that's fine, but like, what is up with you? I legit do not understand. What did I do? Why is there a highlight here? Can we stop highlighting, please? This is going to be our next big quest to figure out why the hell is this highlighted. All right, this isn't what this stream is for, but this is obviously a thing that's look at that. Like this has a highlight effect. That's. Hopefully, change the style. Nope, that didn't matter. Huh? We're gonna have to go back through and. Well, that's going to be a reliable method for us to get rid of that weirdness. But I don't know why that weirdness is. I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out. I'm sure it's just a word thing. Or it's probably something I can just Google and find an answer to. God willing, because, well, it's nice to be able to see that sort of stuff pop out now that we have this page coloring going on. But that obviously needs to change. And if I have to rewrite it separately, then... So God, this whole panel, like so much of this page is afflicted by that. What the hell? I mean, I literally have no idea what. Anyway, that's really weird. All right, that's a distraction. Let's move past distractions and stick back to the artwork. We'll figure it out, and then we'll reload these pages once we do. So my goal for tomorrow morning when I come back is to fix all this bullshit. Let's see. When the spell is cast, normally if the spell is cast within an area larger than the spell's effect, the hut remains immobile relative to the source of gravity. Otherwise, the cage remains stationary in wild space of the astral sea. While the spell is active, it produces fresh air to breathe for all within. The duration of the spell also increases by 8 hours for each level of spell slot spent, amplifying the duration up to 48 hours with a 6th level spell slot. When amplifying the spell with a 7th level spell slot, the duration increases to 72 hours. An 8th level spell slot increases the duration to 10 days, and a 9th level spell slot increases the duration to 30 days. For Lehman's Tiny Hut, when the spell is cast normally, if the spell is cast within an area larger than the spell effect, the hut remains immobile relative to the source of gravity. Otherwise, the cage remains stationary in wild space or the astral sea while the spell is active. While the spell is active, it produces fresh air. Okay, great. So we're basically going to make a Lehman's bubble. That's actually pretty interesting. There's lightning arrow. When you amplify the spell, you can effect one ranged siege weapon attack. For one slot, when you hit with a ranged siege weapon attack, you deal 48 times 10 lightning damage, or half as much damage on a miss. Now keep in mind, a Star Moth has 400 hit points. So this is a good pop. When you're using this system, you can basically treat an enemy ship as like a CR 2 to 6 sort of thing, like ogres or like trolls, giants. That's kind of tanky damage that these things have. So you can like, this is going to average around 240 damage on this. You'll be able to deal decent damage to that Star Moth. That, but you know, if it misses, it's half damage. So it'll be 120 damage. It's a good investment. Lightning Arrow is what, a 3rd level spell? Let's verify that. Yeah, 3rd level. Yeah, Lightning Arrow is a 3rd level spell. So that's decent. That's for a ranger. That's 10th, like 9th, 10th level. You would have, and to upcast it, you'd have to either spend a 1st level spell slot or higher as an add-on, or you could amplify it from 3rd to a 4th level spell slot, which would be 13th level for a ranger. Of course, Bard's magical secrets. Is that what it's called? Mystic secret. Anyway. It would be able to pick it up as early as 5th level as a bard, so not bad. It certainly does a lot of damage, but it's not like a one-shot stuff. Let's see, slow, fabricate, major image, spirit shroud, slow. No, yeah, I think Lehman's Tiny Hut is honestly the most interesting option here. So that's what we're gonna go with. So we can take a bubble here. And we can select there's our bubble. Let's see how large of an area. Tiny hut. Ten-foot sphere. I'm liking this already. Here. Just do some light gesture art. That's kind of fun. That. Hey, Hornetico. Hey, dude. Thanks for showing up. What do you think about... this page is horrible because I got these weird highlights going on. Let's get rid of that. I want your opinion if you can offer it, please. So here's how the final art for the piece that we were working on yesterday turned out. And I am asking, what is your thought? I have a very faint purple and gold sort of hue that's going on in the background page of this art. How does that look to you? I mean, very, very subtle lighting going on here. It's supposed to be very minimal, but there's enough. You like that? Good. Glad to hear it, man. Well, then I'll follow my gut. The text, is that what you mean? The gray of the text? This is, by the way, incredibly... I appreciate this a lot. Thank you for the feedback. The gray of the text that I'm using. And what about the bubble that I'm putting around this, like this air bubble representation? Is that looking good as well? Does that jive with the other color that we have going on the page? Because this is a standard color I was planning on using for all this air bubbles. I also like how, like, when I'm showing movement here, the air bubble is moving. It's a subtle detail, but if we keep doing movement stuff with ships on grids, I think it'll pick up eventually. And then, of course, when the air bubbles hit, they merge, so there's no difference between one or the other, but it's just within the area. So I just wanted to make sure that my color palette here is all jiving together as I move forward. So sounds like you're saying we're okay for now. Helps the ship. Yeah, absolutely. Nice, because that's how it would actually be. Like, if you're using, if you print out and cut out these tokens to use on your tabletop as just like little paper icons or whatever, or if you're just throwing up like a Roll20 grid and you don't want to bother with background map color, that's literally how it would look in Roll20. So, well, I mean, the bubble effect is, I was debating the bubble effect for the tokens on the ships here. Like to have the, but I think I want the bubble effect in on this. So I think I'm going to move forward with that, because these are tokens for now, but we'll eventually drop in that effect. So cool. Right on, man. Thank you. I certainly admire, I respect you as an artist. I appreciate your opinion. I admire your work with having things stand out. Like your colors have good separation for me. I never have any difficulty reading what it is that you're doing in your illustrations. So I appreciate your feedback on that. It's greatly appreciated. So anyway, all right. So now that we're confident that we are indeed, this is indeed the way, we can, I'm trying to, do some light. This is for the Lehman's Tiny Hut. There's this weird highlight going on. You have to forgive that for now. But Lehman's Tiny Hut, when this spell is cast normally, if the spell mobile, let's see, the cage remains. Oops, I need to fix that. The hut remains stationary in wild space. I need to fix that language here. Right on. That's very positive feedback. Thank you. The hut. I can't believe I screwed that up. The hut remains stationary. When the spell is cast normally, if the spell is cast within an area larger than the spell effect, the hut remains immobile relative to the source of gravity. Otherwise, the hut remains stationary in wild space or the astral sea. While the spell is active, it produces fresh air to breathe for all within. And then if you continue amplifying, it lasts longer. So it's like we'll end up having a sheen here for the bubble and like space in the background here. Just briefly, I don't know why there's all these highlights. It's super weird. I need to figure that out. So we'll tackle that tonight. But that's our sketch there. So super simple. And then here, at 5th level, I like this a lot. But I gotta figure out. God, that is so frustrating. That highlight. Let's see. We have animate object and we have awaken. And we have Staggering Smite, Freedom of Movement, Banishing Smite, and Bigby's Hand. Those are the spells that we have on this page. Oh yeah, we need to put our... Now that you've confirmed for us, Ornetico, thank you kindly, that our color in general is good, we need to then reestablish our frame, our borders, and bottom rails so that we know when we illustrate this, we're only going to work inside of this, generally inside of this space so that we can bleed out, but the actual piece needs to be resolved inside of this blank spot. We can't violate the bottom rail, and we have to fade out into this right-hand margin. So that's the rules of engagement that we have on these pages. Put a lock on the text on that page. Let's see. I am wanting to have animate object and awaken be the spells that are impacted. So, animate object. When you amplify this spell, you can animate an object up to 50 feet in size for each level of spell slot amplifying the spell, up to 250 feet with a 5th level spell slot. When a ship is animated, it doesn't have a ram. You can choose when a ship is animated, if it doesn't have a ram, you can choose a bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing ram. Or change an existing ram if one is present. While commanding a ship this way without a pilot, the maximum speed of the ship is only 500 feet per round. When a siege weapon is animated, it can be commanded to aim, fire, and reload as though fully crewed. The rank of the siege weapon equals the rank of the spellcasters. Level of spell, it's a 5th level spell, so you don't even access it until 9th levels. So this is all we need on the chart. 9th to 12th level, which is, or CR 6 to 9, your rank is 3rd. And we established earlier in the book how to confirm, how to determine the rank of a creature or a character based on their CR or level. So that remains consistent. So level 13 to 16 or CR 10, like if you have an Archmage, for instance, an Archmage Archmage NPC creature, it's a CR 11, I think, Archmage. So that would be technically a 4th rank. So it's rank, and we already established what rank means above as well. So like an animated catapult, an animated mangonel has a reload of 5, a reload score of 5 normally. when it's fully manned. The the animated catapult is considered to be fully manned, and at 4th rank, that reduces the reload for a weapon by 1 per rank. So it goes from 5 down to 1. So you can automatically reload a mangonel that you animate to be able to fire as often. It'll automatically succeed its command check to reload because it has a 1. On a D6 command die, like say at 9th level, it'd be a D8 command die that you would be using. On a scale of 1 to 8, 1 is always going to be successful. So if you were to animate a mangonel at 13th level, you would be guaranteed to be able to have that weapon reload as fast as you can command it to fire, which is fun. Awaken. But again, it's just an animated object. If it doesn't have a pilot, it can act on its own, but its movement speed is incredibly slow and limited. It can't traverse between worlds on its own, but it can trundle along and drift through space. So Awaken, when you amplify this spell, you can target a ship constructed from ceramic or wood up to 50 feet in size for each level of spell slot, amplifying the spell up to 250 feet with a 5th level spell slot. An awakened ship can be built to look like a bird, fish, insect, or similar. Can move and attack with melee ship weapons as though it were that creature. An awakened ship that is built to look like a bird, fish, insect, or similar can move and attack with melee ship weapons as though it were that creature. There you go. When the ship is awakened, it can focus on its own spell jamming helm and any attached orreries and amplifiers, and it can take actions in any ship roll. In addition, an awakened ship can use the sidekick rules for the characters to have an NPC ship as an ally, but spellcasting ships cannot cast any spells requiring somatic components. Awakened siege weapons can act as their own siege commander and can aim, fire, and reload as though fully crewed. The rank of the siege weapon is equal to the rank of the spellcaster, as noted up here. It can't see here an animated object. When a siege weapon is animated, it can be commanded to aim, fire, and reload as though fully crewed. But if you awaken that weapon, it can command. It acts as its own commander, and it can aim, fire, and reload as though fully crewed, as above. So you can effectively you could create a walking ballista for those that are MTG enthusiasts. You can awaken all of your ballistas, and they become basically siege minions that can attack on their own accord, and they can make their own. It basically lets you as a team of players. It basically becomes something that can act independently. Like if you need sidekicks on your team and you're awakening siege weapons, then they just basically become giant lumbering allies. If you awaken your ship, it also becomes an ally. And I'm really looking forward to building a separate tear out PDF, like a 5-page PDF supplement after this publishes as like a little side project to have awakened ships and to show like what a sidekick would look like a ship sidekick, how build that out as like an actual document. But the seeds are here that anyone would be able to just grok what that means and be able to just improvise adding a sidekick stat block to their ship or their siege weapon if they wanted to. But we'll actually build it out as a thing. Now I might actually, I don't know if I'll put it on DMsGuild or if I'll put it on my Patreon or not, but I think this is. And there's Bigby's hand, but that's not nearly as cool. I mean, Bigby's hand is cool, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't actually increase the size. I mean, it's basically, it occupies a large space, so it doesn't need to get larger than that. It doesn't deal extra damage, just can extend its range. Yeah, doesn't extend its size. That's actually accurate. That's 60 feet because that's the speed that you can normally move a Bigby's hand during the spell is 60 feet per round. So the upcasting increases the range, but it doesn't actually increase the speed because the base speed is already faster. But I don't want to increase it so like 5,000 feet per round. That doesn't stay in the scale of combat. So I don't want it to be moving like miles per round or like 10 miles per round. That's beyond the scope of combat. Once you move beyond a mile of range, you can't effectively engage enemies in combat. So the Bigby's hand doesn't need to be able to move faster than 500 feet per round. That just allows it to keep up with other ships at the scale of combat. So Bigby remains relevant. But that's not the most exciting thing. So I think I actually want to do the awakened ship. So I need to figure out what we want to do for the awakened ship. So what do we want to do? We want to make a... How do we want to do that? What do we want to do? Maybe we want to... Maybe we want to use craft. Manta ray? Would we want to awaken a manta ray? Maybe not. Skiff would be silly to animate. Spiderling. It's made of metal, so you can't you can't awaken a spiderling because it's made of metal, unless you made a custom spiderling of wood that you would then be able to awaken. A skiff you could awaken, but why bother? Manta ray you could. Flitter maybe. Cuttlefish is composite material, so not so much. Yeah, it's just aesthetics. It's because of the idea of flight and swimming is where it's coming from. Except for like arrows and stuff like that, they're just like normal space stuff. You know what? I like the idea of fighter craft, but I don't think that's the way. Let's go back to our vessels and see which one of these ships grabs our attention. Nautiloid, nah. Living ship, nah. That looks boring. Boring. Woof. Wait a second. Hold on. Nah. Let's go to our big grid. Hold on real quick. Okay, well let's give that a go. Okay, so we're going to try. Let's go with a squid ship. Let's see how that works. why would you not want a sentient ship as your base of operations? Like, how freaking cool is that? Gun, 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 gun. That. That'll work. Maybe. That might, oh, that might be better. Let's see about that. Yeah, the masks are making it a little awkward. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Yeah, the masks are just making it too awkward. Damn it. I love the idea of that, but I'd have to get rid of the masks altogether to keep a clean profile, and it's just not jiving properly. So this is not the right fuck. I like the idea of it being the nautiloid, but that's just not jiving. The flitter doesn't have enough appendages to make it interesting looking, so that's not the right one to use. We're trying to limit, and we have to limit ourselves to light material because that's the type of stuff that works. Like the wasp, I've already used the wasp. How do I make that? I really want to just over dramatize how it main ship, Shrike, Space Galleon, Squid Ship. Let's see. All right, let's try the flying ship. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, not very compelling. All right, well, it looks like looks like the squid ship is what's actually calling. Hey, timely timer. Burp, burp, burp. It's not 40 minutes. Holy crap. So far, so good. So what? Let's see. It's not hitting the button that I want. Gun pod. That's a better pose already. There we go. That is the way. Turrets. Trebuchet off the back end here. There. Holy crap, that's the one. That's the one. King of the world and the devil's son. Oh yeah. I'm going to pull this forward a bit. Here. You go down into a dungeon on an asteroid and your ship starts to pout because it can't follow you in. Too big, puppy. There we go. That's how to do it. There. That is the way. There we go. Oh my god. Can I just say how much this looks like? Hold on. The cosmic horror. how much an awakened squid ship looks like the cosmic horror. I love that. I think that's just cool. They're not identical, but I think if you weren't like if you weren't paying attention, it would look similar. Yeah, I like that. No need to save. We'll keep this. We'll keep the ships here on the side deck. There, that doesn't get in the way of anything and actually helps hide some of the weird curvature. This is absolutely the way. Oh my god. Love it. Yes, nailed it. Frickin' nailed it. I mean, it's just a rough sketch, but we'll color it in. But we already have the color palette established. So frickin' easy peasy, yo. So that one's good for now. I'm happy with that. Next, this one is too much page content. See, like just like a little bit of breathing room here and there. It's. I don't want an illustration on this page. I like it being open and breathable. Which brings us back to blip here. So we have a space here, and we have a space here. We have the new spell, Create Ship, 2nd level conjuration. Duration 24 hours. The spell creates a craft up to 20 feet in size that attaches to the spell jamming helm component. Upcasting with a 3rd level spell slot creates a ship up to 30 feet, 40 feet, 5th level is 50 feet, and then upcasting using a 6th level spell goes to 100 feet, 7th is 150 feet, 8th is 200 feet, and then how about that? 9th level spell, 250 feet in size. 250 feet also happens to be the maximum size of any ship that they're presenting inside of SAIS. The hammer ship, the squid ship is 250 feet long. There are no ships larger than that. Squid ship and the hammerhead ship are the largest that we have represented here. If you were using my upcasting mechanics, which I don't have included in this book, but if you were to use my high magic, which takes you to 10th level spell slots, a 10th level spell slot would allow you to do 500 feet, which is the maximum size you could potentially have for a vessel using one helm. It's not listed in the book here, but if I were to do a tie-in, like once the Martial Powers book gets released and we start establishing mana language for maneuvers and powers to use as a pilot on a ship, which will be fucking awesome to do, we can then introduce the idea of 10th level spells in the high magic system that we have, and then forward that a 10th level spell slot would allow for, again, 500 foot ship. So, but that's like armadas and dwarven citadels, for instance. So those like truly massive, just massive shapes, floating dungeons unto themselves, in truth. So what we're going to do here, so that's how the create ship works. Then we got demi-plane, which just basically creates a larger dimensional space. Anti-magic field, teleport, meteor swarm, wish. Or I could theoretically take this new spell and just push it up a little bit so it's not squeezing the space so much. Like I could just push this up here so it reduces the amount of gap. Yeah, I don't actually see an illustration there, so I could take this That's the fun thing about being able to do both the artwork and the layouts together and the editing, is that I can manipulate the page space as much as I want. Like I could line that up like that, so I have this space is open here for the new spell. I think I'm okay with that. I might want to do that. We're going to take this. That's not horrible. I like the. I think I want to have a little bit more space here, though. I like the idea of pushing that up. I think that's good, but I want to. I need to float this in that space so it centers up a little bit better. I think that's what we need to do. So let's drop this down. How's that looking? Almost. I think I need another. But I forgot about Ray. So let's go back to here. I forgot about my bottom rail here, so I need to actually line it up along the rail. Maybe here. Oof, not bad, Kearney. Let's do that again. That is the proper space. Casting lines up with Miles, so... Where'd my mouse go? Thank you. There. That is the proper spacing. That way this stands apart separately from the rest of the work, but offers a little bit of eye breathing. But space here. And I think we want to what we could do is we could take this and drop it down over here. And then take this and pull it up here into the corner like that. And that leaves this space open. So how is the rest of the document? What I want to avoid is static, like having everything in the same position, right? Bottom of the page. All the art's at the bottom of the page. I can't have that. So we already have one here at the bottom right-hand side. Here we have middle left. Here we have middle right. Here we have bottom left. And here we have bottom right. You see? There's like a sameness that's being established here. So maybe we do this So it's the, maybe, so it's the bottom corner. Like that. So then we have, this is our design space. How does that feel? Power Photoshop. There's a time delay, so I think you're on the same page as, pardon the pun. I think you're thinking the same way as I am right now, right? Having that upper right hand corner. When I do subclasses, I put the example art center page horizontal, but at the top vertically, basically turning it into a half page in terms of text. Fair enough. Let's see what we can do to. I could do that. I could do. I could break beat like that. See, I don't have any room on this page, on the prior page, to fit teleport. It just doesn't fit. So it has, teleport has to be on this page. And this 8th and 9th level language here eats up this space. So that cannot be changed. I think I'm gonna leave that there and have this just like a little spot. Let's assume this for now. You can create a permanent ship by casting this spell, creating the same ship every day for 1 year. So we can literally create any ship we can think of that fits within anywhere from 20 feet to 250 feet in scale. I think that's more interesting than a meteor swarm or a wish or a demi-plane. What kind of ship do you want? Okay, here's my thought. second level spell, an artificer would be able to cast that at 5th level. And, well, it can't make a huge one, but it would be able to make a craft up to 50 feet in size. Let's do it. Ooh, yeah. This is the way. Let's go with. It's time for some smooth jazz. K-Y-O-T, the coyote. Smooth jazz. Do maybe door. And then we can have like but leave it like line art over here so it starts. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. It's a dumb idea, I'll let it go, but does that make any sense? Do you get what I'm trying to do here? Is this the imagery here coming through? Because if that doesn't make any sense, I'll have to approach it from a different direction. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make any sense. What do you think? I don't think maybe it's reading properly. The scale is about right. Oh, it's backwards. That explains a lot. Yeah, that should be on the other side. That's right. Ah, maybe that doesn't make any sense. Like you wonder where the Elven Armada, or the space elves get their ships. Or they can have architects that dream them into existence. But this might be too ambiguous. It's an idea. It doesn't look like it's panning out, though. I don't think it's not quite the flavor that I want. I don't know. Hornetico, if you're around, if that made sense to you, if that makes any sense to you, maybe I'll stick with it, but I think I can probably do better. Let's see. Maybe it's maybe I should just do something a little bit more generic. I suddenly see the value of pushing this text down. Now I probably need to change the angle. Woof. Now that's all. Back to that corner pose. Not necessarily. This is challenging. How much time we got left? 7:52. I've got a minute left. I don't think I'm quite hitting the mark. I'm really trying to dream this thing into existence here. I mean, literally. Why aren't there bumblebees? Man, I want to do more with this picture than I have space to do it in. Fuck! This is starting to feel super fun. Oh man. All right. Well, it's back to work for me for the day, so I will be checking my stuff. Check. All right, that's it for the day. We're going to see if inspiration can hit me on my sleep tonight, and looks like that's exactly right. But when you create ships, you can make them look literally like anything that you want. So I'm trying to figure out how I can depict this person. I'm thinking if I have color here and then have the color wash out and be line art here and then be spooling out from them weaving this thing into existence. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, but I don't know if I'm doing a good job of portraying it. But yeah, it absolutely looks like a giant bumblebee. I fucking love that. This is about a 30-foot bumblebee, so that would be a third level spell slot. It would last for a day. As long as I have a helm, I could dream that bumblebee into existence and pilot it. And as long as I devote that same spell slot, if I just keep that spell slot locked on my ship and just permanently lose that spell slot for a year, I can keep that bumblebee and I can wish it into existence. Basically, it's how the spell works. It's like just like anything like fabricate or other things like that. Like whenever you cast a spell for the establishing like a teleportation circle, for instance. If you put the teleportation circle in the exact same spot for a year, it becomes permanent. Or like Iron Fortress. If you cast the spell in the same spot for a year, it becomes permanent. Same thing with these ships. As long as you have a helm and a spell slot, you can create ships with magic. So you could have a whole industry of elves that do nothing but permanently rebuild ships every day to repopulate their fleet. God, the Arcane could be doing that and just creating different ship models and just dedicating like multiple ships. They could line up like a 9th level character, or I'll tell you, an 18th level character could be potentially building like 15 ships at a time every day, just sitting on their ass constructing ships. There's like an industry that could be developed for that. But I like the idea of pushing this text down because it opens up this empty space here. But I'm not necessarily, like if I tilt it like that, I can get the wing language in without having to get in the way of teleport. All right, I gotta go. I really want to keep playing with this, but this is where I have to stop for the day and pay my dues to the man to honor my ability to even be able to do this in the mornings in the first place. So no save, definitely save. But this is the last sketch of this chapter. So once we suss this out, we'll set this on hold and then we'll peel open a new chapter. So Yeah, that's what we're doing. All right, I'm out of here for the day. If you're new to the channel, you're lurking, you're catching this in the future after we've done streaming. I do this every day, Monday through Friday, doing ship art and page art like this. On Saturdays, we do book cover art. On Mondays and Thursday nights, we do cartography. If you want to see more of the stuff, check out my playlists. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for more bad behavior in the future. And I will see you guys. I'll see you guys tonight. Or not tonight, tomorrow morning. Right on. Anyway, later, Gators. Thanks a lot.